Copies of the township credit card statements and job description updates.
I did not have any changes.
I have no questions either.
And my questions were answered prior to. So,
Yeah, I
Okay,
texted Laura about something silly, but other than that, I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda as is.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Okay, next up is, anybody have any public comments? Okay, we'll move on to the 2022 annual financial report presentation by outgoing trustee Don Hanson.
We like the money.
So, as you know, each year the trustee has to present the annual report from the prior year. And since last year was my report, it's my requirement to present that. Even though Ryan will be putting it on Gateway after you guys approve it. First of all, I want to thank Rich for putting it together. He does an awesome job every year, compiling all the stuff in Gateway and getting that all done for you. So, the thing I want to cover with you is the cash balance report. It's on page 2 of the actual report. It'll be in Gateway. But do we still publish this in the Republican? Yeah, okay, I thought this was. So this is what will be published in the Republican. And what it gives is each of the funds. It gives the beginning cash in 2022, all the money that was received in each fund, the disbursements out of each fund, and the ending balance as of December 31st of 2022. Let's scroll down a little bit, please. You will see that the beginning balance was $16,004,957, and we ended the year with $13,976,307. Starting way back when we started getting cash reserves, when we published this report and didn't do anything else, I was getting phone calls. Even when Josie was here, she was getting phone calls. So we decided to start doing a letter explaining why our cash reserve, because people are looking at this and saying, oh, that's a lot of money, what are they doing with it? So I always put together this every year, whether Ryan wants to continue on that same process or not, it's up to him, but I will tell you, it saved a lot of phone calls. But the letter that I put together, it'll be published with this in the Republican. So that $13 million figure, the way it breaks down, and this is from Jeff Peters that I got this information, there's $6 million that's laid aside to eliminate the tax anticipation warrants. Prior to 2017, this township was one of the last entities out in this area that was still having to borrow cash to pay its bills and pay its payroll until it got its property tax receipts in June. So we started saving up money, and then after 2017, we were able to eliminate doing tax anticipation warrants. So Jeff says $6 million is going to be laid aside for that for this year. $1,270,000 of that same amount is for the 2023 expenditures on capital projects that the fire and the park will be doing. And this will be money for them to use up until the June receipts are received. So that's laid aside. There's also $2,260,000 that's dedicated to the Township Health Fund. As you know, the Township Health Fund is self-insured, and therefore they have to take care of all the claims, and so that's why it's laid aside. And then there's $540,000, which is the amount for the 2022 encumbrance. And I assume tonight you're going to be approving that resolution. But that money, township boards are allowed to encumber funds from the prior year to be used, this year on unspent appropriations, and as long as the trustee has purchase orders, contracts, invoices, etc., that were dated back, last year, it can be spent on that. So that's what you're doing on that. So that $540,000 of that goes out of the $13 million. And then there's $3,930,000 of actual surplus money. And Jeff said the way that broke out was, one of the reasons was, first of all, there was a supplemental local income tax payment was made by the state of $600,000 to the township. There was $1,350,000 of unspent 2021 appropriations. And then there was a $1,200,000 of unspent appropriations for 2022. Told me that both of those are basically fire related. So, and then there was $100,000 of that money was due to interest earnings on the money that we were saving up for the feastal that we did. If you remember, we were saving each year to pay, and then last fall, you guys authorized to do the feastal. We eliminated the 2017 park bond, and we eliminated the fire equipment bond. And we were saving up money for that, but the earnings, interest earnings were, we actually had more in there, so we didn't have to use as much as what Jeff has laid aside to pay off those two appropriations, or those two bonds. And then the last part of it was $740,000 of better than expected income. If you remember, the park met their actually the revenue goal mid-year last year. And then also there was EMS funds that were quite a bit more than what was what we had the budget for. So that's where that money came from. So that's why we have all of the reserves. So if anybody ever asked you that question, that's the reason for it. So the last part of this, I need to have, first of all, Shane, you need to sign where you guys received the report, so put that information and sign it. Okay, and the last part is, each of you have to sign this report. There's two different places that you can sign. One is that you're signing saying you're accepting the report as it was given to you. Or you can go sign and say, I accept all of it, except I disagree with the following, and you have to indicate on that. So each of you need to announce what you're doing, which one you're signing for the minutes. And then all this will be filed, I assume, tomorrow or the day after the Gateway, and we'll take care of the annual report. Okay?
All right. I'm signing it as received, accepted, and approved. And Brett, I made a mistake on that.
I am also signing it, received and accepted as approved.
And so am I.
That concludes the annual report presentation, and the last one I had to do. So, we left you with lots of money, and you're in good shape, and it's a result of this board work and the department heads, all the work that they do for the years. So, again, I want to thank Rick.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate
Thank you
it.
so much.
Okay, next up is Township Board presentation. So don't go anywhere, Donna. So I'm sure you wonder why some people are here. I know the riveting review of
I'm
finance.
wondering why these guys are here. They go from Minnesota to Bloomington.
Yeah,
Came up with this.
it was a riveting report. I'll kind of go through and read it. We, as a township board, I'll just kind of read through it. It'll probably be the easiest thing to do. So, the Township Board of Washington Township, Hendricks County, Indiana, the board met at a duly called and authorized meeting of the board on the date set forth below, which is today. Such meeting being called pursuant to meeting notice. I don't know if you read it all up. Whereas Don Hodson has served Washington Township in multiple roles, including township trustee, township board member, public safety committee member, and building corporation agent. And whereas Don has represented the township in all of his roles with integrity, courtesy, and dedication to the citizens of Washington Township. And whereas through Don's term of service, the township has strengthened and expanded its public safety, parks and recreation, and township assistance services for the benefit of the residents of the township. And whereas the township board wishes to recognize Don for his service to the township, his cooperative approach with the board on township governance, and his example as a public servant. Now, therefore, it be a resolve that the Washington Township Board hereby recognizes Don Hodson for his career of public service to Washington Township and presents him the key to the township for epitomizing the essence of being a public servant.
Come on up.
Thank you, everybody.
Is your family? Yep. There, guys.
Yep.
Want to bring Amy?
Thank you, John.
Technically, we need to, there's a resolution voting for the.
Yes.
It would be awkward now if we did.
Yeah. That was awkward.
They still have to approve the resolution.
I kind of went in the wrong order.
Anyway, I move we adopt resolution 02-15-23
Call 05. Call 05.
05,
I will second. No, so go ahead.
honoring the public service of Don Hudson.
I will second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations, Don.
Thank you.
Let's see.
Now we'll get you a copy of this.
Next up, we have department head reports, township assistants.
I'm doing township assistance again.
Okay.
So you got the report for January, and I know I put it in the report, but I wanted to recognize Becky out loud. When she found out that one of our applicants, when the landlord received money from us and from the IHCDA, she reached out to the landlord immediately and asked for us to get our money back because the IHCDA money goes first. And the landlord wasn't anxious to give us our money back, but Becky was extremely persistent, and we didn't even have to call Jeff. And we did get our refund on January 19th, and it was over $2,000. So I just really wanted to say thank you, Becky, for her relentless pursuit of that.
Yes.
I just had a quick question. Okay, am I crazy? But these not matched. Okay, so here's 2022, right? And it comes to 48,780, but then when it's copy and paste it over here, it's 78,891.
So the 2022 numbers that you're seeing on that January report include the grant numbers.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have human resources.
No. As you guys know, in December, we had a couple positions leave, R.G. Smith and previous trustee Don Hudson. We also hired a paramedic in December. In January, we also lost another 2 positions. Our deputy chief of administration left and a park administrative assistant left. In January, we hired an EMT, and then of course Ryan joined us in January. We've also started hiring lifeguards for Murphy. 11 went out this week. We're going to try to do it in smaller batches this year instead of a whole bunch at once, kind of keep things a little easier to keep track of. In the beginning of March, we will start hiring for camp counselors to spring break camp. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you. Parks is up next. We'll try to stay awake without caffeine.
All right, each of you had a chance to review the report. Just like I mentioned on there, I think I did win lifeguard of the week after the lifeguard training. But we have on here, the pickleball courts. I give an update for the pickleball courts and also just some of the improvements that we're doing over at Murphy Aquatic Park. I do want to mention over on the revenue report, that it is not 2032. I meant to put 2023. But you can see we're doing very well on our revenue, and as of today's date, we've already doubled our numbers for January.
I do have one question on the pickleball court.
Mhm.
I think you've got the timeline in here or someplace in here, I think it's in this report, about when it's going to be open. Is there any thought about lighting those courts? Or is that something yet to be thought about?
So we do want to light the courts. The only problem is that right now the park is technically open from dusk to dawn,
Right.
which means nobody should be playing down there anyways in the dark. So, I mean, that's something we're gonna bring to you guys, just some ideas of how we can light it for security purposes, but ideally nobody would be down there when it's that dark.
Yeah, because the normal closing time for the park is dusk
9,
or 9.
yeah.
Okay.
We ended up changing it last year to just do 7 to 9 all year round, instead of changing it from 7 to 7. And then in the summer, 7 to 9, we're keeping it 7 to 9 all year round. Just easier for the public to remember.
And are those courts just gonna be a first come, first serve?
Yeah. Right now, we're working on sponsorships for both sides of the courts because they are, there's a chain link fence in between the two different sections. So right now, we're working on our sponsorship package, but we do have some people in line for that sponsorship. And then it'll be open to the public, but we will also host tournaments as well and some how-tos.
What's the completion date again? Sorry, I forgot.
And so it's really weather dependent because of the coating that we have to put on it. They're telling us that to look at May, but if the weather stays like it has been and we don't get second winter, then I'm projecting end of April.
I get a lot of questions.
I bet. People are excited. They're ready.
Yes.
It's the number one question I've had since joining this township board.
I know somebody spoiled it on Avon Chatter for us. We had this whole plan that we were gonna unveil it. Someone scooped us.
They did.
Any other questions?
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Okay, fire.
I think you left me last, thinking I'd be long-winded.
Well,
All right, you guys have the fire chief's report in front of you. The first thing I'd like to start off with is thank you. Thanks for allowing me to be part of this, work with you guys, and talk individually here and there. I look forward to it. But more importantly, Chief Phipps and Chief Porter need to be recognized for holding down the fort in January, taking the position of interim chief like Chief Phipps did. No small task, especially in light of change. You're now holding down something as a temporary fix in a light of uncertainty. And, you know, there was a lot of uncertainty at that point and change, and you got a department who gets anxious about that. And firefighters don't stay still for long, so they have a lot of questions. Not only do they hold it down, but he and Chief Porter immediately got to work, took the things that were in process, the projects in process, and kept them moving forward. So whenever I came in here, it was an easy transition because we already have that. So I appreciate that. I want to make sure we guys know that work that's been done. You've been doing that for the part. So thank you guys. Thank you. The rest of the report, obviously coming in, I don't have a lot of insight outside of what they told me on January or the previous year other than my personal familiarization. If you have any questions about the things on here, I think the most important one is in the realm of EMS. I do plan on looking at the billing and collections process. It's something we're going to start vetting out, put it on there on record, but having both billing and collections in the same entity is not something I'm personally a fan of. And I've seen change in what it can do from the prior department, and I look forward to exploring that here. I don't have specific runs But there were a number of communications from residents through the trustee's office and through the fire department about our employees and their efforts in 911. I'll be more specific on that in the future and recognize our employees, but just know that they continue to do good work and reflect positively on us and you all, and they are serving the citizens appropriately. As we continue down this path, we'll revisit further outdated job descriptions or defunct job descriptions. I don't want to carry extra weight in the policy manual and job descriptions. We'll also move toward hiring processes to replace the people you heard resign from HR, and we'll start moving forward in that realm in short order. Any questions?
One thing that, even though the other reports that we had been used to seeing, one of the things that was in there was response time and those kind of things. So I always like to look at that. So if that is a canned report that you feel is accurate, then I'd like to make sure that that gets included in the package that you present us with. It keeps me, I'll let everyone else speak for themselves, but it keeps me aware of how we're doing, and I can communicate that to the public, and that's exactly how I can be your standard carrier for that. So,
Okay.
Yeah, I think it helps us understand, what are our resources? Do we need more resources? And try to be an advocate here to get whatever we need to keep those at a certain level. I think any other metrics you all feel as this is showing, whether it's, the successes and key, if you will, key metrics to track, would be great.
8 days in, next month, we'll make sure we have.
Fine.
Understand, it's not that, but it's just one of those things that we can quantify that.
Yeah.
We talk, an accountant's got to have some numbers, so you got to put up with these.
I like it. You know what? That's the accountability part, and that's how we're going to work together.
I just had a quick question about people resigning due to offers from nearby metropolitan fire departments. Can you talk about, obviously, we have been very big about retention and what we can do to keep the firefighters happy and.
One person was an officer, and that had been their lifelong dream. It was their third or fourth time going through the process. They were trying to do this. They've been trying to do it for quite some time. The other person was a young man, former military experience. Whenever they see the big city, they see run load, they see jobs, they see things going out. Hendricks County is Hendricks County, right? I mean, we know what happens out here. If there's a fire, we know. If there's a major car wreck, we know. The biggest thing in the bulk of our runs are EMS runs, but we are getting busier, especially out here with the construction and traffic on critical rescue runs, and we train on that often. But sometimes you got to get these young people to come in, and they really look at the city, not just for pay and benefits, but just for being busy.
Okay. We just want to keep our pulse on that, just to ensure that we're keeping the highest level, right, of employees that we can, not just in fire, but parks.
I think what you'll see in the upcoming processes, depending on which one we shoot for, there'll be a high interest in the park.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee report.
As you've already said, you have a copy of my report in your packet as well. And we've been doing a lot of talk about pointing out how great our staff is. And the first paragraph of my report reads no differently. I have to give a heartfelt thank you to all of our staff and all of our departments because coming in and trying to get myself in a situation where I even know which way is up is difficult. And the staff here that work for the township has just been incredible in helping me along the way and not getting frustrated when I'm coming and asking, multiple questions throughout the day. Making sure that I'm in line for success. And so I really do appreciate that. It is worth noting publicly here in a meeting. I think that is very much needed because without them, we would be in a world of hurt. And so their efforts are appreciated. In addition to that, I won't read the entire report, but everybody has had an opportunity to see that. We did swear in new members of the Civilian Fire Safety Board, as we talked about at the last meeting. One of the requests that came from the Safety Board at their meeting was that we put together a training in conjunction with the fire union so that each of the members of our Safety Board have a better understanding of exactly what their roles and responsibilities are. I think that was a fantastic recommendation. And I've already been in communication with the fire chief and his staff, as well as the union. They are going to put together a training program for the safety board. So again, they know exactly what their responsibilities are and can serve at the best of their abilities. In addition to that, we do have the awards banquet coming up this weekend. So I think everybody's seen that. I also have a note in here about the township transportation. That'll be the next item on the agenda though, so I won't get too far into that. The one item, I guess, that I did skip, looking through my own scribbles on my notes here, we are going to work together on putting together a new strategic plan. The latest version of our strategic plan has ended, so we do want to keep that going. Again, we have a lot of things going on at the different departments here within the township. It's important to make sure that we all understand each other's goals and what the common goals are here within the township. So that is something that I've already been in communication with the department heads about. So that's something that I'm certain you'll hear more of as we progress into the future to accomplish that.
And are you planning on doing that internally or hiring an outside third-party consultant?
The previous one that we did, we hired from the outside, looking at some of the, the invoices that came along with those. They were pretty substantial. We have, again, I'm going to be repetitive here, but the individuals that we have leading our different departments are knowledgeable and are confident that we can put together something internally that's going to give us a solid end result. And so that's the direction we're looking right now. Any other questions about that? Thank you.
Moving on to old business, township transportation program.
Okay, so as I referenced in the trustees report, we are starting to move forward. Again, we had a major transition in the township at the beginning of the year, and with everything else going on, this transportation project, I won't say got pushed to the back burner, but definitely wasn't the highest priority of things that we needed to work on immediately. We are moving forward with it again already though. Matter of fact, we have a meeting tomorrow morning to discuss operationally what this program is going to look like and what that next step is going to be in getting it implemented. Excuse me. As you know, we have the vehicle. We've been working with, Karen has been working with Chris Cron and Marina to figure out what the graphics need to look like. Karen shot us some examples of what a good logo would look like for the vehicle, as well as what other information needs to be on there. We're getting that information over to Chris Cron to get that to our graphics guy and get it mapped out on the vehicle. So between getting that done, getting this meeting to talk about operationally what this should look like, we're going to be in good shape to hopefully get this in service and available here in the near future.
Good. Okay, next up, new business. First up is resolution 021523-01, 2022 encumbrances.
I'm sorry, yeah.
These are the encumbrances that we worked with the department heads on to, for the money that was left over from last year. And that one didn't justify properly in the middle, and it's really distracting me. Sorry. And we worked with Jeff Peters as well. We got his blessing on these.
And this is everything that Don just went over, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
We have, you saw all the quotes and invoices.
Yes. So, yeah, I mean, it's all documented and it's there, so
Any other issue? Shane?
I was going to make a joke, but I didn't know it was appropriate. Are the most dependable fountains, are they really the most dependable?
Yes.
Are the most dependable fountains really the most dependable? By whose definition? I'm just kidding.
Most dependable fountains.
It's one of your
Yeah, your pickleball fountains.
Oh, okay.
She's drinking that.
My kids go 500 here, so I jokes.
It's
Yeah. When I read it at home, I thought it was funny. Anyways,
It was a great name
all
for
right.
a company.
Any, questions?
I will make a motion to approve resolution 021523-01 to encumber appropriations from the 2022 budget.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, next up, we have resolution 021523-02, 2023 Township Assistance Guidelines.
These are updated guidelines for 2023. Becky and I highlighted the places that we changed. Primarily, you'll see that we changed the numbers that are dependent on federal poverty level because that went up. And then we added the language about people in school because that is language that Becky used in Wayne Township, and we actually had it come up here. And although that has been our stance, it wasn't officially written down before. So we wanted to make sure that
So
we're
basically,
operating
the idea that if you're in school full-time, you also have to be employed.
there's an expectation, yes, if you're gonna apply for township assistance, that, yes, you have to be working.
You know, I thought, when I read it, I was like, oh, I never thought of that on the grad school. I just, I think it's good that it's in there, that's what I meant.
Yeah, so we've always operated under that, but we didn't have it written down. It was really important to Becky to put it in there because we did have an applicant who wanted to push back on that, and then she also had that language from Wayne, so we actually borrowed language from Wayne. Thanks, Wayne.
And on the shelter assistance, I did have one question. We said they can, will pay up to 5 nights
Yes,
within a hotel within Washington Township.
yes.
Do we have a negotiated rate with them, or we just pay whatever market is?
So that actually came about, we historically not put anyone in a hotel. The reason being, some people don't want to go to shelters and they would want us to pay for them to go to a hotel, and we absolutely do not do that if there's shelter space available. So we wanted to put it in there and make sure that once we've exhausted all our resources, that is there. And we worked with, I'm blanking on the hotel. Was it the Comfort?
The Comfort Inn, is it?
Yeah.
I signed
We
checks for them
we
too,
did,
so
we
yeah, I should
we
know
did
that.
an emergency for them, and they actually, Hendricks County Senior Services negotiated a rate for us, because it was kind of all of us working together to get the person in. And then we signed a contract going forward at a better rate, so
Okay,
we do have that in place, but it is not a first option.
okay, but you did negotiate a cheaper rate than market.
Yes,
Okay.
well, I don't know what the market rate is, but
Oh, I don't either, but
it's very reasonable.
anyway.
Yeah.
You got an agreement with them, so. that's
Yeah.
good.
Thanks to other studies and services for helping us with that as well.
And I assume the burial and cremation went up. Not down.
Yes. Cremation stayed the same, very well. Well, you know, I get a little excited when I get to make things yellow.
Any other questions? No. Then I move that we adopt resolution 02-1523-02, the 2023 Township Assistance Guidelines. And I assume that this then goes to Danville to be
Yes,
posted.
Yes,
Starting remember last year.
yes.
Okay, I will second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Let's see, next up is resolution 021523-03, 2023 amended salary resolution.
I don't know why I sit down. We raised the rate for our janitor because she was not being paid at a competitive rate, and sat down and had negotiations with us, so we were more than happy to meet her where she wanted to be. And then the fire department, the operations received a 7% raise last year, but the salary resolution was crafted for a 6% raise for fire admin, so this is to fix that, and then they'll all be getting back pay on the next paycheck after you guys hopefully see it. We also changed them to, all fire administration is paid salary versus hourly. However, many of them are non-exempt, so they'll still qualify for overtime. It just seemed odd to be carving out certain people hourly. It just makes it more consistent.
So one thing, and this kind of, I guess for all the, because I know I asked this, a bunch of questions this time. I like how when something's changed that's substantial is that it's highlighted or there's something to refer to as what the previous was. Just so, since we're approving this, so we're on the same page as to what change was. So that's just a statement of if changes are made, we can kind of see either in process what it is or highlighted, give us a summary.
Those of us that don't have color printers. Yeah,
It's a little darker.
anything that is shaded helps,
We're not.
Okay.
so
I'm sorry, you're saying.
Yeah, no, shaded is fine.
It's okay there?
shaded is fine, yeah, this is fine,
All right, perfect.
but,
The red line doesn't help read.
yeah, a red line.
Red line.
Understood.
But no, I agree, because like my eye immediately goes to like, well, what's different, right? Because we've looked at these things now
Yes,
20, 30 times, so.
get ready for 40, 50 times.
Mhm. Okay. Anything else?
All good?
Good.
Okay, I move we adopt resolution 021523-03, amending salaries of township officers and employees.
I will second.
All those in favor? Oops, sorry. Last up is resolution 021523-04, surplus property.
It's all just outdated computer equipment, with the exception of the inflatable, which we're selling. Hold on, let me just get.
Which inflatable are you selling, the old one?
This, yeah, the old one.
No?
Price negotiable.
Turn it into a bounce house.
That's good. That's great.
Yeah.
Put that on.
You guys want the hard?
I'm good.
You sure?
We'll bring those labels around. We'll make a good deal.
It's like a good movie house.
Yeah.
Weird and temporary.
We actually have, already have some offers on, or we have interest in it, so I know it's an odd thing to sell, but there, our public education person said that there's some interest in it. We're just trying to decide what's an appropriate price, so we're doing that.
It's like a KDB book out there for that stuff.
It's not.
You know.
What, so, I don't see the inflatable on here. No, I see it. It's not on the resolution. Oh, it's on the back. Never mind.
Color.
I just didn't see, never mind. Disregard my statement.
I didn't get that one on my plastic, did you?
I came out at
It-
4 o'clock today.
Keep at it, yeah.
Yeah.
It says laptop and computer equipment, but this is part of the laptop and fire equipment. I just did. We are.
All right, I will make a motion to approve resolution 021523-04, declaring surplus equipment.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Okay, last up, any public comment or wishes to be heard? Okay. Our next meeting is March 14th at 3 o'clock, same location.
Thought the job description.
They were in the consent. They were in the consent.
They were.
Oh, is it? Sorry. Sorry. Thank you.
Zoom.
Panic right there.
They were-
Breathe.
Are you?
I totally missed that.
I was waiting for a motion.
So moved. I'll make a motion to.
All those in favor to adjourn at 7:10 PM.
Aye.
I